Hi, I'm François Levanier, and I'm here to remind you today that you are not powerless. It is easy in the light of all the events around the world that are so filled with cruelty and violence and terror to be reminded that actually we are much more powerful than what is fed to us, whether it's through the media or our communities, the people around us, beliefs around us. We are extremely powerful. If there is something such as a devil, it would be fear. And don't I really want to invite you, please, please, please don't. Anytime you feel fear, this is illusion. This is not true. I'm not saying the events aren't happening. I'm saying, yes, they're happening, and choose love, trust, doubt. Doubt? Don't choose doubt. Sorry. Um, of, what? Okay, I lost my train of thought, which is completely okay, I guess. All right, bear with me. Oh, yeah. So you can make a choice. Choose love, choose trust, choose your power, your own power of creation, you as a creator. um, any thoughts creates, all your beliefs create. Everything that you are is a machine for creation. And if you remember where you come from, if you remember that you came here with a specific purpose, there is a certain ray of the divine, or a certain ray, a quality of life that you came to embody. If you remember that, you know what it is, then you freaking be able to just commit to it. And that's then our job, isn't it? Just to commit to being what we truly know at the deepest of deepest, of what we came here to experience and to share. What is the gift we came here to be for the world? And you, my friend, you are a gift. You are that gift. So what is it in you? Even right now, before I even say more, what is it in you that's coming alive in this moment? What is true for you that would want to be, that needs to be expressed, that has to be expressed? Um, I wanted to share with you a personal story, and just to demonstrate, this is probably the most beautiful story that ever happened to me, and also the most challenging story. Um, so I grew up with a lot of violence, and in that violence, when I was younger, was at school. It was simply just fighting at school. It was kind of cute, but growing up later on, when I'm 16, 17, 18, 20, the fighting became, with fighting with guns and knives and baseball bats, hammers, what have you. So, and it became much more dangerous, and ended up with broken noses and hands and ribs and what have you. So I realized that at the time I was really filled with pride and the ego, and because I knew also how to fight, I was a good fighter. I grew up doing martial arts since I was 5 years old. Um, but at some point I realized that it was going to lead me nowhere, and I was going to end up killed. Actually, I had the vision. I saw myself being shot to death, and that was about to happen, very soon. And so I realized that I needed to change my ways. And so I started embarking on this, making a new commitment to peace. But I realized that I was still attracting fights to me. And I was like, what the heck? I'm making a new choice. How come I'm still attracting? Or is something that's just wrong with me? I was thinking, because I was still attracting those things, and I realized later that I had some healing to do. That I was still holding somehow in my unconscious, my subconscious, my energy field, the idea of the energy pattern that I was okay with. I wanted to be engaging in a power struggle of some sort. And so that's what I kept manifesting until I became aware of that, cleared that, and then I never had to fight again. But during my 7-year travel around the world without money, which was extremely challenging and also extremely rewarding, the highest wisdom that I gained when I was there was that I could be whoever I wanted to be. And at the time I wanted to be in a state of connection with God and love. I want to be love. And that came through, I could absolutely not judge anybody else. about their ways and how they are bad for whatever reason, but completely let everybody else make the choices as they want, and me simply to be a walking invitation for that connection that I have, that I'm experiencing with Source. And so when I came back after 7 years of travel around the world, I was still afraid to go and take the metro, the train in Paris late at night, because that is where most of my fighting was happening when I was a young man until I was 21. And oftentimes that's where I would fight with the Arabs in the metro. Uh, there were just people who were picking up very easily on the fact that I still had violence in me, and so they would single me out of everybody else to fight with me. So I was afraid this would I felt it was like my last fear to conquer. And so that specific evening when I came back, I was back in Paris. I was tuning in. Am I supposed to go to this party or not? I knew that that would require for me to take the last train back. Woo! And but really hearing on the inside, I was like, yes, you need to go and just trust. And I went to the party, came back, took came down to take the train, past midnight, and the train stops exactly at where there's one wagon on the left, one wagon to the right. And again, I tuned in and just listened. Do I go left or right? And I was hearing to go right, so I go right. And sure enough, what do I see there? Right there in there, there's one of those Arabs, and I'll call him the young man because I don't really want to, put the denomination. It's the Arabs. I'm just choosing this story too because it's relevant now, where it is the fanatic, Islamist that are creating terror, supposedly. And so it's very up to date kind of a theme. And so I'll call him the young man. And so the young man, sure enough, when the train started leaving, I saw this young man is one of those trouble guys who are going to want to create a lot of, who are filled with pain and who are going to want to kill. You can feel it. It feels really, really dark. And sure enough, when the train leaves, this young man gets up and sits next to a woman. There was a woman and then two guys in the back of the train and me. And started bothering her. He started talking to her. I don't know what he was telling her, but she was ignoring him and just kept reading her book. And I could tell she's afraid. And I started feeling afraid myself. Big fear, like right away, like, oh my God, I'm going to have to defend this woman. I'm going to have to fight. And then quickly I was like, no, just wait a minute. That's the old ways. I now know I'm very solid. I'm actually very much know that I can tap into that higher source and become one with God, if you will, and or my God self, and choose how this is going to go along for me. And for me, I knew I would not revert back to violence, because it is not. It is it's a losing paradigm. Even if I'm able to dominate the other person, there's always a loser there. One day it will be me, another time it will be someone else. And the other person, even if I win, maybe I hurt him in some way, and I wasn't helpful to this person's life, who is probably in pain and suffering, lost, what have you, to be able, to commit crimes. And so I tap back into this true truth that I know is the deepest and the highest within me, and I calm down. It takes maybe about 30 seconds, maybe a minute, and I feel back in the present time, not in the fear, but feeling just that connection with my beautiful heart and the heart of humanity. And so I'm sitting peacefully and just making myself available to that, source, to the higher truth. And the train stops. The woman leaves right away, and the two guys in the back leave too. And believe me, anybody would have left in their rights mind. And the thought occurred to me to leave too, and to go to another wagon and be safe. But something in me told me, first of all, that there was a reason for me to be here, and also that I was done running away from my fears. I really knew that I could just be there in that love vibration, or in that space of truth, without being affected by it. And if I'm really believe that this is true, then I need to walk my talk. And this is the opportunity here. So I just stayed here in the space of love. And so the train leaves, and it's just him and me. He gets up, sits in front of me and says, well, I know you're from somewhere. And filled with, like, anger. You can feel he's up to no good. And so I say no. And then he repeats and he says, I know you're from somewhere. I said, no, I don't remember. So I'm staying like in my truth. Possibly in the past, I would have said, oh yeah, maybe didn't we meet at a party somewhere to try to make friends, but everyone knew or would have known that it wasn't true. So I just stayed in my truth without fear. And then he said, you have a problem? And I say, no, no. And he said, because if you have a problem, I kill you. And he starts going into his pocket here, and I knew he's got some form of weapon. And so and then he repeats, he said, you have a problem? And I say, non, Khouya. Khouya in Moroccan means brother. I just spent quite some time in Morocco before, just before this. And so he said, because if you have a problem, I kill you. And he pulls out of his pockets a knife and puts it straight on my chest. And he's putting pressure on it. And I just look down and I see the blade, and then just look back up. And I'm kidding you not, I was truly at peace. I knew that, again, there's nothing that he could take from me. I was committed to that, just holding my space in the truth that I knew was true. And so he looked in my eyes, and what I would imagine probably about 10 seconds maybe. It seemed like in a long time. And I could see him searching, like, how do I respond here? Who is this guy, right? And then so after a while, he puts his knife back in his pocket and asks me, who are you? And so I just responded, I'm your brother. And he repeated, it's funny because he always repeated twice everything. And he said, who are you? I said, I'm your brother. And so we talked for about 20 minutes during the train ride all the way till the end at Saint-Germain-en-Laye, where my parents live. I was visiting them. And he was sharing with me how he had a miserable life, that he had been an orphan, and that he went from foster family to another. And that he, his past and his, with drugs, his struggle with drugs and all those things. And then at the end, we left the train, went outside, left the station. And then he asked me again, he said, I've never met anyone like you before. And he said again, who are you? And I said, I'm just a brother. And in this moment, I opened my arms, and he opened his, and we hugged. And so, in this moment, I could really feel this brotherhood, this love coming through. It was I sensed it was very healing, both for him, I knew it, and for me. Well, then, and then he says, hey, do you want to take a beer? I invite you. It was like some pub was still open there on the main plaza, and but I knew it was over. It was done. There was no friendship to develop. The contract, if you will, was over. And I said, no, I got to go back home. It's late. I'm visiting my parents, and I need to go back home. So I hope that from this story, you're getting your own, inspiration or wisdom arise. My intention really with sharing this story is that you remember that even if terror is literally at your doorstep, I mean, it's not even at your doorstep, is literally on your chest, even in that moment, you can choose love or whatever you want, but you can choose align with a higher power, and that with that alignment, you are and you will always be perfectly safe. So trust in yourself, believe in yourself, tap into the love that you know that you truly are and that you can be. What are you committed to? What are you truly committed to? And if it's just simply to keep yourself safe, and if you think it's going through war, yeah, let's go to war, let's kill those bad guys. I promise you, it will never end. And it hasn't. This paradigm has been here on this planet for long enough, and nothing has changed. There may be other agendas going on, you know, if you really look at it, of who is driving the wars, why are the wars recreated and happening, and it has nothing to do with your purpose on this planet. So I hope you got the core message, and I just want to let you know I love and appreciate you and your presence on this planet. Be all that you can be, and I look forward to being in touch with you.